The Andy Griffith Show was an amazing experience and so many life lessons. You know, just like the Opie character, there was a lot to learn being around those people.
Hi, son.
I think that the number one lesson probably was that trying to achieve a quality entertainment is something that requires incredibly diligent focus and dedication. Andy embodied that. And at the same time, you could work hard on the creative problem solving. You could respect the audience and try to achieve a level of quality, but you could also have fun and laugh. And that in fact the creative, collaborative energy could be really intoxicating and thrilling to be around. But it also required this sort of equilibrium between focus, professionalism, and an ongoing sense of play, because you are engaging in sort of make-believe to try to help achieve the goals of any scene, no matter what the genre. Hi, I'm Ron Howard. I'm a movie director, also a producer, co-CEO of Imagine Entertainment, along with Brian Grazer. I began my career as a kid actor on TV shows like The Andy Griffith Show and Happy Days and other movies. I'm here to answer any and all questions. My latest movie is In the Heart of the Sea, which opens Friday. It's why I'm here, but since I'm here, talk about anything. Bring them on. Duck Avenger. What kind of movie? Well, you know, I've worked in a lot of different genres, and I'm not really chasing, genre exercises the way I did as a younger director, trying to prove myself to fans and to the creative community. But there's a certain kind of horror that I always admire when it works. I've touched upon it. I've brushed up against certain moments. In the movie Missing, there were a couple of moments like this. There's actually, without spoilers, some elements of that in Inferno, which is the next Dan Brown, Robert Langdon mystery that I just finished directing with Tom Hanks. And so that's something that I would be open to if I found a story that I could connect with and believed I had something to share. And then there's always that lingering curiosity about what it would be to really stage a musical. The closest thing I ever did was one sort of goofy number that Jim Carrey performed as the Grinch, our version of You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch, and we shot it very quickly in a couple of days, but it was fun. And I've always thought it would be interesting to try to tackle that genre, but it's a challenging one as well. Pervy Sage. What do I want for Christmas? Well, I'm in that fortunate position that when I need something or really, really want something, I have the luxury of being able to go out and get it. And so what I really want, as corny as it sounds, is the health of the family, as much togetherness as we can muster now that everybody's grown with lives and careers and children and so forth. And I want that holiday to be, that time of the year where you kind of focus on less on goals and immediate accomplishments and just more on that connection. That's the Christmas gift for me. I'm not totally content, although when I do have occasion to see sequences from my old movies, I can't remember the last time I actually watched one of my old films, to be honest, because I'm always looking ahead, I'm excited about what I'm doing and trying to problem solve all of that. But I usually am pretty good about cutting myself some slack. There are things about the movie Willow, as much affection as I have for it and as much affection as that fans have for it, I would love to have a second chance with. George Lucas was so trusting. I was still fairly green. I always say that was a little bit like me doing my doctoral thesis, working for George Lucas on that movie. I think today, I can make it even more dynamic, I could make it cooler, I could make the funny stuff funnier. But all that said, Willow was a great experience, and I'm really glad that it sort of lives in people's memory. Or younger people see it today and still find something to really like about it. That's a really good and complicated question. And of course, it's a judgment call. Anybody writing about those people, of course, they're editorial decisions. Even in a documentary, you're editorializing and making judgment calls that reflect something that you, the storyteller, believe is important or significant or interesting. In the case of a narrative movie, we never call them historical fiction, but of course, to make a thing fit, a story, a life, fit into a couple of hours, you have to make all kinds of decisions, and you also have to create, very often, scenes that didn't exist, but the goal is to create scenes that actually advance people's knowledge and understanding of the big picture, thematic relevancy of the scene and what the characters have gone through. So you do try to reflect aspects of the characters that you believe is true. Peter Morgan, who's done a lot of this writing, he wrote Rush, Frost Nixon, but he also wrote The Queen, and he's done a tremendous amount of narrative storytelling built around real characters and real events. He didn't invent the quote, but he likes to quote somebody who said, sometimes you have to lie to get at the truth. So you have to invent in order to convey a significant idea. Generally, those are the sort of guidelines that I try to follow, all the while making sure that I'm putting the movie's best foot forward as an entertainment, as something that's going to engross and deserve to be seen on the big screen. The first thing that I do when I step on set is usually hand off my shot list to the script supervisor, or if I haven't built my shot list yet and all I have is a bunch of notes, is I'm bypassing, stop off at the porta potty and get a cup of coffee. That's kind of obvious early in the morning. But get out there, look at the set, get a quick report if there are any surprises. Is anybody sick? Are your actors okay? Is everybody on time? What's the weather supposed to be? You get a quick, rundown. Then you see if the plan that you made the day before still holds, so you know what your first shot's going to be. And then it's really about getting that first shot launched. Sometimes that entails getting the actors there for a rehearsal first. Sometimes you know what the staging is going to be, and you get the camera crew going, and then you begin the process. If I haven't made a shot list, once I've staged that first one and broken it all down, I'll step aside with the script supervisor and jot down a shot list for the entire day. Could be up to 50 shots, but I'll work it out with him or her, and that's usually about 75% accurate in terms of what we're really going to do, but it becomes a great organizing game plan. Great question. The biggest thing is to never stop writing. Keep building a spec, or an outline or something, so you're collecting your own intellectual property at all times, even while you're going out and starting to take meetings. Now, the development game is not what it once was, and even though you have some heat from having something optioned, you want to take advantage of every one of those get-to-know-you meetings that you possibly can and open up relationships with development executives, because that's so important. Interesting rewrite jobs might come your way. Those are great for paying the bills, but more importantly, you're developing relationships with the gatekeepers, the people who will can help you, get things done. That's really important. But vital is to not just have, one calling card. Okay, you've got it optioned. That's great. You want to just keep being as productive as you can and collaborating. And as this one that's been optioned moves forward, my suggestion would be to stay as nimble and loose about continuing to collaborate and take on collaborators. It's been your baby, but that's not really the way film works. Now, there are 2 or 3 key voices that often enter into the evolution of a screenplay, and the collaborators, directors, producers, studio executives love somebody who can continue to advance by having that creative conversation, taking some notes, building upon the good ones, and being smart about editing out and weeding out the ideas that are that are not compatible with the screenplay. So the more you can demonstrate that, the more you just build goodwill and that muscle that most great screenwriters need to have. Best of luck. Do not get it. Well, the business is crazy, and it's made up of mavericks. Let's face it, people who choose this way of life have a kind of independent entrepreneurial spirit, because it's a team game when you're coming together to actually make a movie, make a television show, put on a play. But you don't sort of sign with a company and then just be a loyal employee. You always have to be entrepreneurial, and usually people who are drawn to it, are thinking a little bit outside the box anyway. I mean, no entirely sane person would really choose to do something as sort of tenuous and hard to control as a career in the business, certainly in front of the camera or directly behind it. But I started as a child, great parents, lots of good guidance, a great working environment on the Andy Griffith Show to sort of have this foundational experience and develop a kind of a work ethos that's been valuable for me ever since. And here's the one thing that makes me a real anomaly. I always loved it. I never wanted to do anything else. I never thought it was a drag to go to the set and learn my lines or be around this. I just always found it fascinating. And you know what? I still do. There are mornings where I get up and at 4:30 in the morning to go to the set. It's a lot of responsibility. Maybe I didn't sleep well that night. I'm worried about the scene. Maybe there are problems. But when I set foot on the set, I'm always glad to be there. I'm always interested in what's going to happen. Even if I'm tense and worried, there's a part of me that is really nourished by it, so I'm fortunate. My dad is a kind of a philosophical guy. I always say it's sort of Midwestern Zen. It's very basic, but a lot of principles that kind of boil down to the simple stuff, like treat other people the way you'd like to be treated, seem to really apply. There's wisdom to be found everywhere. My sort of set of principles is kind of collected along the way. Agent Cherry, I'd like to say I remember. And I was in Southwest Louisiana a couple of decades ago. That's my wife's. She never lived there, but my wife Cheryl's family is from that area, and we've had occasion to visit, a number of times over the years. Her people came from a town called Gaydon. It's a beautiful part of the country, and I've had a lot of good meals there. But I'd like to say I remember it, but I don't. But I have fond memories of the area. Right now, the Lucasfilm team, led by Kathy Kennedy, who's an old dear friend, is entirely myopically focused on the Star Wars universe, as you can imagine. So I think the immediate possibility of another Willow movie is probably, not on the front burner. But Warwick Davis is such a cool guy, and he's continued to evolve as a talent. And, man, he's Willow, and a grown-up Willow could be kind of cool. So I'd say never say never. Thanks for all the questions. And of course, I'm here today touting In the Heart of the Sea, a movie that I'm very proud of. I really hope that you will get out and before Star Wars, or see Star Wars, duck under that wave, and then go catch it over Christmas. But try to see it on a big screen. It's a movie I'm very proud of, and a lot of good actors give terrific performances, along with, of course, the whale. Okay, have fun, have a great holiday.